Yo, with the scene, it's your boy Prime, and welcome back to another episode of Global Sports from a Caribbean perspective. Remember, if you love sports, you want to keep up with the latest updates, this is the place for you. And even if you don't really like sports and don't follow sports, but you're just here for the vibes, we welcome you as well. We're here back with another episode, and this week we have a very special one for you. We have in studio with us here today our very first guest right here on GSCP. And remember, as Dappy say, taking this thing
Global.
That's right. We're global with it. So we're going to be breaking down with a very important member of the Vincent sports community today. I'm not going to introduce his name and give too much because we're going to give a proper introduction in a bit. But just know this is a young, talented and integral person to the sporting industry here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And indeed, because of his work both in terms of the sport, being an athlete, and in the behind the scenes, being a sports administrator, he is a key figure on the regional and international stage as well. So we are going to get right into it. Today we have a very special guest in studio for today. And it would be remiss of us to bring our very first guest on Global Sports with a Caribbean perspective and not give you a nice background of our guest. So I want you to listen to me carefully. Our guest today was born on the 1st of June in 2001. He is a Vincentian Olympic swimmer and national sports ambassador. In fact, he is the youngest person to ever hold the title of sports ambassador in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Our guest specializes in the 50-meter freestyle, and he competed at the 2020 Summer Olympics in Tokyo, representing St. Vincent and the Grenadines on the international stage. He is a past student of the Windsor Primary School, the St. Mary's Roman Catholic School, big up St. Mary's one time, the St. Vincent Grammar School as the former head boy, Prospera. That's right. As well as a former alumni of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Community College. This 24-year-old has a Bachelor of Sciences in Human Biology from the Stanford University, focused on sports and human performance. He graduated with a certificate in Molecular and Biomedical Sciences from the Herbert Wertheim College of Medicine at Florida International University. He is an MBA candidate in Sports Management from the Universidad Europa, Real Madrid, and the Florida International University. He has several certificates in project management and currently works with CONCACAF as the medical and former competitions administrator. He is a founder at All Athletes Inc., a dynamic and impactful NGO organization dedicated to transforming the lives of youths in St. Vincent and the Grenadines through sport. With a passionate commitment to fostering personal growth, education, and competition, All Athletes Inc. provides a platform that empowers these young individuals to thrive both on and off the field. Our guest is also a director at Narrowlayer Sports and Culture Media Production Company and a coordinator of Brown's Initiative, another esteemed internship program that endeavors to facilitate the holistic development of students through the provision of invaluable work experience and profound opportunities for professional growth. Ladies and gentlemen, everyone within the sound of my voice.
Yeah, June.
Please help me welcome our very first guest to the Global Sports Caribbean Perspective podcast, Mr. Shane Christopher Cadogan. Welcome. Respect. And welcome to the GSC podcast, my brother Shane.
Respect. One Prime, one Shower, one Duppy.
Welcome, brother. Welcome.
Man, what's up? What is seeing? What's going on?
Man, I just disclaimer. First and foremost, you list all of that. But first and foremost, I am a servant of the Most High.
That's right.
I'm a man of faith and discipline. You understand? So all of that is just worldly things. I'm grateful more than ever. Grateful for this opportunity. Grateful to reason with my minds like you guys, you know. One love, one team, bro. And
Utter love.
Serious thing.
I respect, man. You're sounding like a very grounded individual.
Absolutely.
You're sounding like a real Rasta man. Heart of love, man. It's Pashai?
Pashai. One iron.
That is it. Man, we're not wasting no time at all. We're getting straight into it because here on GSCP, We want to show the world that when it comes to sports, the Caribbean pack chock full, overflowing with talent. If there's one thing we could say we have here in the Caribbean when it comes to sports, culture as well, but when it comes to sports, we have raw, unfiltered talent.
For sure.
And we want to use this platform as a platform to showcase that talent, but also to break that talent down. We want to look into industries and really get the perspectives from the people who experienced it. And man, going through your CV or just going through your bio, we can see a whole host of situations where your talent has shown through and come to the front. So we don't even have to question the ability. I guess where we could start this conversation is, just tell our listeners a little bit something about yourself that I might not have been able to mention in our introduction. Something personal. Perhaps we could start with, how you got into sports in the first place.
100%. And I always say, I'm not shy of the camera lights and action because of what sports has been able to expose me to. But I must say that not many persons really know who Shane Cadogan is, and I want to start with my roots because the roots is the most important thing to me. Without the roots, you would fall.
Sure.
My father's side of my family is from Barbados, so the Cadogan in that aspect is a Bajan last name, right? He was from Bush Hall, Bridgetown, which is the parslot basically of Barbados, right? My maternal side is from Leo, right? That is where my great grandmother was from, Ballantine lineage, and she was Jackson. I don't know if I know Jackson up Kingston Park.
Yeah.
But that is my
neighbor, actually.
Yeah, come on. So that is the maternal side, and my grandfather now is Guyanese. So my grandmother and my grandfather met in Jamaica, right?
Yes.
They were studying. They were one of the first cohorts in Mona when Mona just started accepting international
50s,
students.
60s.
Boy, yeah. Because it's born 39, so yeah, 50s, right? So they meet there, and mom is passed on that side, and then pops they meet in St. Vincent, and I think that is just the most important value that I hold in life is just family. And the second most important value I have is, well, faith. I mentioned was number one, sorry, but sports, right? And not many people know this, but I started off in primary school playing cricket, football, track, tennis, squash, and then swimming as well, right? So, of course, exposure is a gift in itself, right? But that now gave me a certain level of discipline as a young person because my father was a very military kind of father, love, but all of we know that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So he would always make sure I was exposed to things like scouts and those kind of stuff, so I build up the discipline. And then now in grammar school, it was only track, football, and swimming, right? So I played for grammar school, well, inter-house, we played inter-house. And then the year that I got selected for the junior side, them man canceled the tournament.
So you didn't
understand? So I didn't get to compete. But track was, the sports and road relay and all that kind of stuff. And then now swimming started to provide opportunities for me to travel. So at the age of, I would say 8 or 9, I was swimming just to get used to the water, We live on an island, you have to be safe. And so the opportunities we was guided was like you start traveling to St. Lucia, you start traveling to Grenada for OECS championships and all those things from an early age. So that gave me incentive now to want to keep pursuing this sport to a higher level. And if I was the youngest ever competitor at Commonwealth Games in Glasgow 2014 in Scotland, I was 13 years old and I was the youngest male athlete in the whole games, right? Wow. This is the whole of the Commonwealth, right? And so that provided a certain drive to me now intrinsically, where it pushed me just to say, all right, let me focus. Swimming now is a sport that demands a lot of time. You have to be in the pool every day, twice a day. You have to be active, right? So that now took most of my time away from everything else, and I started to just lock in. And then the year when I actually started to lock in, I win my first Carifta medal in Barbados 2017 Carifta Games, bronze medal. And so from there, it just started building up because I went to university by the grace of God, and I had a government scholarship because I used to study books as well.
Fully.
Because that is the most important. You have to train your mind as well. Your mind is an athlete. So that now provided the pathway for me to go and swim professionally, right? So I swam professionally in California with Alto Swim Club, but I unfortunately didn't get to swim collegiately, so people might think that I went to Stanford and swam for them, but I never swam for them
On the
because
college level.
they didn't recruit necessarily outside of the Caribbean, or they had so much pool in the America already that to break in, you had to be special. But I went there and I tried to walk on to the team, right? And that opportunity, COVID came on, and I came back to St. Vincent in my second year. So that allowed me to train here for the Olympics in Tokyo. And that was the same year that the volcano erupted, right? So the super erupted in March, right?
Yeah.
Right? And then Olympics was in July, and I was stuck here.
2020 Olympics was held in
Right, it was 2021, right?
because of the
Because of
pandemic
COVID,
at
right? So no flights, nothing to leave St. Vincent between a period of March and about June. So I had to start doing CrossFit, for example, and just working on myself differently just to prepare, because I knew that I had the opportunity just to prepare. And I travel out now in June for a training camp 2 weeks before. So I just try to throw on a whole heap of, and try and get as active as possible before
the
Olympics.
competition. That's all.
And then, God knows how it does work, because I always had high expectations for myself. But when I went there now and I swam and I came first in the heat, so I touched the wall and I look up and I see one in that race, that to me was a small blessing that I didn't even recognize then. But to see the kind of love where I get from the country after that, boy, I so grateful. I can't even lie. I can't lie. So now this is my chance to give back and start to. So as much as it didn't continue much for me because of funding and them finances there, it still allowed me to make a foundation for the next generation. So yeah, that is the journey, in a nutshell.
Man,
Yeah.
just from your story, just from you relaying your journey, you can basically see the evolution. You can see the different stages. You can see the initial investment, that strong supportive family structure behind you in the earlier stages, which is so important to you, that early childhood development. You said, Pops was strict but loving, got you in all those different sports and trying your hand at all of these different things. Would you say that the discipline that you learned in early childhood is what kind of contributed to you being able to lock in, as you say, given the challenges you were experiencing, to really push yourself that much further later on in life?
But I would say that is the key. That is it. That is the goal right there in the treasure chest, because I didn't have a childhood where I could have been all of we know the kind of strictness, right? But they also followed that strictness up with incentives, right? So I had to work towards small goals. I had to work towards, so as a youth, as much as you do the wrong thing, it's true. You get the discipline, and if you don't listen, but then you also have to provide something for them to work for. So my mother used to do this chart whenever I used to do my dishes or take out the garbage, or she used to put stars on the chart, right? And as a youth, as a 4-year-old, happy to get some stars, I try to match that next week or level up again. So that is the kind of discipline plus vision, in a sense, where you have to provide. And I think that from them limiting my not exposure necessarily, but from them saying, all right, I am parent, you are child, and reinforcing that no matter what, then it made me respect and understand those values faster than persons. Well, not persons, but everybody experience is different, of course. But I do think really and truly that the discipline that I have been able to practice and the faith that I continue to practice, that combination, faith plus discipline, is the most successful formula that they could have in the world. As a human being, as a child of the maker, right? So
Discipline really is everything.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, before we go even any further, yo, big up yourself, another.
Man, big up all the way, bro.
I watch you in the
Big up all
Olympics
the
in
way,
the
bro.
IG.
Man,
And
yeah.
that is not something to be taken
Man, come on.
to be taken lightly. That is an amazing accomplishment in and of itself.
Especially at the age that you went to.
Exactly.
Because you're only 24 years old right now. So
Yeah.
and you went to the Olympic Games in 2021, so you're a youngster.
19.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
you really have to give him his flaws. Because bro, your dedication,
Man,
your discipline,
respect, bro.
as you say, your faith and that kind of thing, bro, those are things you can't put it, it's not tangible.
Yeah,
Those are
it's
things that you just have to
yeah,
have
yeah.
within you, and
Yeah.
those things will come from your parents and that kind of thing too. So
Man,
major credit to them,
Yeah.
but it's still up to you to follow the direction that they point in you.
Man, for sure. And one thing as well, bro, at the age of 12, I was in a church service, and the service just spoke to me, you understand? And you know, I don't force nothing on nobody, you understand? Everybody have their own journey with faith. But at the age of 12, I made the decision to get baptized, you understand? And from that point forward, as much as things haven't been easy, pressure is a serious thing, and you have to know how to manage pressure. Like I could don't see that point was when I really surrendered it to just control. My biggest thing is I could control what I could control, which is my values, how I see people, how I try to treat people. That's what I could control. Everything else around me is just noise, right? And I leave that up to the Most High to organize, right? So I think, like I say, it's just
That's true,
just
man.
that part.
I could tell for sure that you're a man deep in your faith. As a man of faith, what was that moment like at the Olympics?
Boy.
To see, because that's the culmination of all the training sessions, all the classes, all the long nights, all the early mornings. What was that moment like for you? I mean, we'll talk about, the ambassadorship and so forth after, and you already mentioned how the reaction from the Vinci, but I want to know what it was like for you as an Olympian to represent your country on that big of a stage. What that meant for you in that moment.
Man, it meant hope. It meant hope that it's not me alone. Like, I don't consider myself special in any way. I consider all of us to be the same bread and butter. But because of the blessings that have been given, I am now able to provide a pathway for other youths, our youths one day, God's pay, to be able to have a level to step up on and then go even higher. Because it's not about me, it's about we all the time. And I try to always incorporate everything around me. So that moment now was when I saw the we effect come into play because of the amount of love and just congratulations that people shared. And it didn't really even sit in with me there because, the faith that was a moment where I was like grateful, but I still wasn't satisfied because I didn't personal best. So as much as I touched the wall first, I didn't really sit down and I wasn't like, yeah, boy, you do well, because I didn't achieve the time I did want to achieve because of the training and obviously all those different factors. But I would say the biggest moment of it in sport for me would have been the year when my last World Championships, because I competed in 5 World Championships, and my last World Championships, once again, I hit that wall. I hit a plateau basically for the last 3-4 years of performances. And that plateau now, we're all human. We all deal with pressure. You have to kind of shed a tear here and there because you just don't know what we're going on. You understand? And so after that World Championships, I was there and I just breezing after. I was like, boy, I ain't getting to where I want to get. And I just asked the Father, just show me where's next. And just show me where's next. I trust and believe that where's next would happen. And then following that is when I start to get these opportunities with school and studying sports management and those things. So I go say every moment as humans, I don't think we just even recognize the blessings in the moment, but we just recognize the blessings when we look back and we say, boy,
Yeah, man. Hindsight
no,
is 2020.
serious thing, bro.
Hindsight is
And I think
2020.
that if that's something that we could work on and just stay grounded in the moment and in the present, I think that is what the formula we could use as a people for just elevate the thing together, you know? So, yeah.
I have a separate question for you, bro. And I want you to answer it. I want to know who, like as a sports person, you would consider as an inspiration to you. One, right? And the most famous sports person that you've interacted with, seeing that you've traveled all over the world to represent St. Vincent and basically yourself.
Yeah.
So I want to know, who is your biggest sporting influence, right? As like motivation and that kind of thing, and who's the most famous sporting person you've had an interaction with?
Yeah, good question, Roy. I would say, obviously, from the society, like Vincent and Caribbean society, as a youth, the poster on my wall was a Christie poster, right?
Yeah.
Ronaldo. And you would just, naturally it just come because, you know, you respect that Mr. scoring goals and thing. But then the more I started to understand sports and what you required behind the scenes for sports, is the more I start to respect the man like fully. Like, big up to Messi, and Messi is a talent. Messi, low center of gravity, so Mr. could get on back. But Christie now is a man who had to work for where he did right now, you know what I mean? So that is why I respected his craft from an early age. And I wouldn't say necessarily like idolize, of course not, but it's like you respect that he was able to build himself from the ground up, and that is something that we could aspire to do as well. And then the biggest interaction, boy, it's plenty, I can't even lie to you. You know, it's plenty.
Come on. Drop
Well, I
some
guess you
names,
could
drop
top
some
three.
names.
I guess you could say top
Drop,
three. See,
drop,
that
drop
is-
some, drop some
okay.
names.
Well, okay, so most of this would be in Tokyo. For sure. For example, now basketball would be Luka Doncic.
That's crazy, bro.
Yeah, and Mr. Boy.
Mad.
Yeah, Mr. is a G, eh? He's a real G.
Jeez.
Then on top of that, most of them was basketball. We would see because we had similar schedules.
Okay.
A time I was there in the line waiting for pizza, right? And I just look over me now and I see a waist, basically, you know. I look up now. I look up now to this giraffe.
Look over, see your waist.
Rudy Gobert on them, bro. Bro, that's 7+ on them, bro.
I was about to ask you, right?
7+.
I was about to ask you because
Boy,
I had an experience like that in transit.
That's funny.
I don't remember where, but I had an experience in transit where I met Kevin Garnett, and so like I wanted to ask you about Luca. Like, is it true that them man actually like larger than life when you see them? Because I mean they are who they are,
The
so
second
they don't have a kind of aura about them. You
The
know?
second player who you mentioned bigger than Lucas.
Yeah, for
Rudy
real.
bigger.
He's like 7.
No, but nah, them. And you just could just spot
Rudy,
them, man,
right?
like, you
Yeah,
know what I
Rudy
mean?
Gobert.
Yeah, you just.
So aside
man,
from Luka Doncic,
intimidating.
Rudy Gobert.
Right, and I would say Asensio, I did see as well.
Marco Asensio?
Man, yeah, Asensio was just, I didn't eating, Mr. just breeze past me, no, man, bro. But them time there, I ain't trying for like, you understand?
You shine, bro. You shine.
Well, that
He's
was
a big
alright,
star
that's
too.
boy, naturally, but.
He's a big star too. Come on.
Of course, bro. Of course.
Come on.
Fully, bro. Fully.
We are fighting
Fully,
for
but
nobody, you know?
Naturally, bro.
but still,
Fully.
you know, we
In
get-
terms of an
It's a
interaction.
humbling,
In terms of an
experience.
interaction.
Yeah.
No interaction with any of us.
Interaction wise, I would say nah. I mean, would say like just people who I know playing professionally.
Right.
So that, for example, Usaini Buddha is a brethren of mine. He plays in the MLS. But international stars, I won't say I have a reason. Swimming, Katie Ledecky, for
Katie
example.
Ledecky.
Like,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
Legend.
you
She's
know,
a legend.
because
She's a legend.
they train within the Stanford camp,
Okay.
right? So
Okay.
that's the people I would have been interacting with
Okay,
through university.
She's one of the most decorated.
Yeah, she's a different kind of mind for push, bro. She just be setting, like, she just be pacing with man, like proper top male athletes, men athletes, pushing with them, and so yeah, she's a special talent. But yeah, I don't know. Let me tell you the truth, I never really I guess I don't know if it's because I was young or what's not. Maybe no, I would have been more normal for just go up and see X, Y, Z, But yeah, I never, not yet. You understand? The future still did it
For sure.
for government, but yeah, that is it.
Okay, so let me just ask 2 questions, right? How young were you when you started swimming again?
I was 7.
7 years. Okay,
Just
and
learning.
okay, and where would you say is the swimming grassroots program now? If you had a scale from 1 to 10, where would you say it is right
St.
now?
Vincent, right?
It's in the Grenadines.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that we definitely have an identity in the grassroots level. For example, my grassroots swimming was by the beach in the Bay. They used to mark out 50 meters and we used to just swim and turn around and go back. And then we used to swim out, go long and then come forward or normal. So that's still to this day, because we don't have infrastructure necessarily down for the capacity of programs that are trying to happen. Because everybody want to have some knowledge of how to swim. I would say there's still room for improvement. But I started by the beach. I used to go by Tropic Breeze pool to try swim as well. Villa Lodge to try swim as well. So with Ricky Dean, Alexander, Ricky Alexander, Sean, John, those are the man them who really get me into and then Nyasha Alexander, that was Blue Marlins camp.
Okay.
And then from there I moved forward with Black Sands, which is Coach Cadogan, who is our Black Sands swim squad now. So we have more squads and more people in the squads than before. So I would like to think that growth is still eminent, but I think, there's still room for improvement no matter what. Yeah.
All right. Considering you said there's room for improvement and we're on the topic of you, right? Let's stay right there. What is the pathway? I don't necessarily want to say what advice would you give to the youth, because I feel like that question is asked a lot. But what do you think is the pathway of a young person interested in a sport? It doesn't have to be just your dominant sport, which is swimming, but you play a number of different sports. We even swept together and so on in the Sunday League, so you don't know. But what is the pathway for somebody interested in a sport? And I'll ask a follow-up to that.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that is the cloudy sometimes, the real cloudy, and you don't know what you're looking forward to in a sense, which is something that we are trying to change now. So we have a non-profit foundation, All Athletes Incorporated. And exactly what you said there is what we're trying to provide through All Athletes. And this started as a philosophy that all of us are one team. We have all experienced the mental side to being an athlete, whether it be in life. Sports is life. That is what I firmly believe. And we do have that sort of structure where we are trying to show the youths that, okay, you start off, you're doing a grassroots with the different clubs, because we just see ourselves as collaborators, right? And the long-term vision for All Athletes is to develop the first private secondary institution, which would serve as an academy. And the academy would foster morning trainings, you go to your classes, you do your gym. You have more structure and scheduling, so you go to training afterwards. So the academy now would then feed international camps, right? And FIFA have those solidarity. So I approach it from a business standpoint, right? And the formula is out there. The formula exists. So all it takes now is to copy and paste a formula that exists and just bring it home.
True.
And so that's why I believe the pathway starts from you learning it as a passion, and then you have to spend time giving it more. So 3-4 times a week, maybe in secondary school, you have to try and get active as much as possible. But there comes a point where you have to say, if this is what I'm going to pursue fully, I have to pursue it fully and lock in, right? And so that's what I would outline as the pathway, is just to love what you're doing, because when the times get hard, you have to know that you have an anchor where you know that I love this and I want to keep pursuing it until, time comes. So passion part of it is the formula to it all.
We see that type of grassroots development sort of missing right now when you look across the different sporting areas. And I just take a pause from the line of questioning just to show you like an example. Like the people who raised us from their generation, when they speak about their childhood or they speak about school days and so on, what is notable is the presence of many more competitions, many more activity, a lot more activity, a lot more extracurriculars, a lot more involvement in sports and culture. That type of grassroots development is, I think, the phase that we are sort of stuck in because we're not getting it right. We have the talent, and the talent is easily displayed on the grassroots level. But if we do not focus on the grassroots development, then we can't actually have anybody assimilating into a full program because they don't have what you had.
Yeah.
The support system and the discipline.
Exactly.
So given that, let's just transition. How do you see our sports landscape in the Caribbean evolving and trying to bridge that gap between what we know is the grassroots and the passion level to the, how do we turn that passion, as we say here at GSCP, into purpose? How do we make it so that these athletes who have this natural talent and this interest in sport get put along the pathway? And I mean, kudos to y'all at All Athletes Inc. I mean, you know, real quick, we could do a little shameless plug.
Come on, man.
Some gay, our first set of merch already. All Athletes Incorporated. And the handband says, action brings and the production, action brings change.
Fully.
And that indeed is what we're trying to represent. So what types of movements do you see as we try to evolve the landscape? What's needed? Let's start.
I'll give you 3 pillars that we focus on, because I believe to have success, you have to have a measuring stick to achieve. You know, you have to give yourself criteria and say, we did that. The 3 pillars. First, we have to address the access inequality to this global sports network that's there. We need something to bridge that gap between us and the global sports.
That's right.
Fully.
Bringing the Caribbean perspective.
Right. And then the second thing that we have to focus on is highlighting role models for the new generation, because all of these other countries that have successful athletes now in 2025 started out with 0.
Exactly.
And had to have 1 and then 5 and then, you understand? So we have to make sure we put a spotlight on those role models: Shafika, Handel, Olex, Carney, all them, man. Like, we have to show the youths that they too can be on a poster. So that's the second pillar. The third pillar, the most important pillar, is to ensure financial sustainability and corporate engagement. Financial sustainability and corporate engagement. That is where it requires a lot of management, right? And you need to have persons who are in it for the betterment of the youths. The stakeholders are the youths, the persons who are going out into the hot sun and trying their best. The coaches need to have investments in them as well, because the coaches are the custodians more than the parents sometimes. You learn most from your coach sometimes. So we have to have that financial sustainability, and it starts from us believing in the vision and then putting our money where our mouth is.
And backing it up.
Action. Not chat. Not chat.
Boy, I get wanting to approach it from a standpoint of, you know, making these things economically viable. How do we get some of these companies to uphold that corporate social responsibility and, you know, invest in the youth, you know, be willing to sponsor? We saw recently some of the issues with, you know, our most recent Olympian in terms of funding. So that is a very critical part of the discussion that you've brought up there. A very, frankly speaking, you know, we gotta put the money where the mouth is, but sometimes we're wondering where the money is going to come from.
And the thing is as well, I believe is a all around thing, is a two-way street, because obviously corporate entities want to see their return on investment. You understand? So from a business standpoint, we have to approach it from the ROI side of it, and we have to be able to track the impact that we are making as sports, as entities and sports clubs have to be able to track their statistics and to show these the corporate sponsors now that if you come on board, you have this t-shirt that you have, you know, branded. You have your boards that you could put up by our facility. Those kind of things. So, but that requires communication. The most important thing, and the thing that I think that we're missing, is effective communication. And that isn't a fault of ours. I think that we inherited a certain hard and fast sort of self-preservation kind of struggle, but solvable struggle. We could solve it by recognizing that we all in it together. So young, old, everybody have to be incorporated together. So yeah, that is the real formula to being able to grow as much as possible. Those 3 pillars, if we could focus on those 3 pillars, I believe that we could be good to go. So it's just to have that return shown, and that comes from having communication. You understand where I'm coming from, and I understand where you're coming from. How can we help each other to create a win-win situation? Right? That's the best form of negotiation, creating a win-win situation. And we have to have a certain level of trust to be able to create that as well. You know, so we could go on and on about how to solve it, but it would take time. We have inherited a certain system that geography is our biggest struggle. We were put here, we wouldn't come here by happy, you know, but we make do with the resources that we have because we are resourceful people and we can rise above, but we have to extend grace often. Our patience will be tested often, but always remember that I'm doing this for the next generation. I'm doing this. So if we could have that humbling of just passing on the knowledge, that is how we fix that formula of buy-in. I call it buy-in mechanism.
I have something I want to transition to in relation to what you were speaking about there. And it's interesting because we were having the conversation off camera, right? Because you are someone with the qualifications and skills to excel way, beyond St. Vincent and the Grenadines, right? So I just want to know what drives you so much to keep your thing local, basically, right? And how you could pass on that mentality, you know what I'm saying, to others coming up, and not only coming up, people older than you as well, you know what I'm saying? I admire your loyalty to the country, bro, because your qualifications,
man,
like
respect,
I said,
respect.
you could be doing something else.
Fully.
So I want to know what drives you.
I don't like to see suffering. I don't like to see people who help me get to where I am can't get to where they can as well. And I'm not a selfish person. I try my best not to be a selfish individual, right? And my father used to always tell me, to whom much is given, much is expected, right? And so those opportunities to go globally have only made me appreciate what we have here more. And I think, as mentioned, brain drain is something that we suffer from in the region.
Big time.
And brain drain is something that we can overcome and refunnel it back into our region as much as possible, because I'm in the business of leading by example, right? And for me, everything just lined up, and it just was able to afford the opportunity to come back here and have an income and also make an impact on the ground. And so I want to show others that we don't need to travel out, we don't need to take our experience and our knowledge elsewhere, because what we have here is sufficient enough to build within ourselves, be sustainable as a country. Why focus on trying to get out when we could focus on trying to build as much happiness and peace as possible? Yeah.
When you're saying them things, brother, look in the camera.
It's like,
because those are things that will go viral.
Nah, 100%.
Man spitting right now.
It's a matter of being able to recognize that we have been given enough. As much as sometimes as human beings we don't feel like we have enough, we do have enough to elevate ourselves, and it starts from self-sufficiency. Self-sufficiency is the most important thing you could have as a human, and if we could build a population where we are all self-sufficient, we encourage self-sufficiency, then the country naturally would be self-sufficient, right? And once we have that sort of channeling of resources and of knowledge and of Japan, for example. Japan's biggest investment was education. Japan educated their population. They went on to be engineers, they went on to be craftsmen, tradesmen, all these different things, but they just wanted to be the best out there possible, but focus on the loyalty to your, you understand, your blood. Because, like I said, the roots is the most important thing. If you don't have your roots, then you would fail to grow. And so, with Japan, they developed their economy to be self-sufficient just through education. And I do believe that in St. Vincent, I could speak about St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We do have one of the most educated populations in the Caribbean region, right? So, you know, that just kind of opened up my mind, and I read a lot, right? I try my best to just absorb. I'm a sponge, right? I just absorb things around me, and I just want to squeeze it back into Vincent. These conversations, like I mentioned before, nobody does really know what's going on inside my head, but if I do start to talk, then we could reason and we could just build each other up. You know, it's not just about me. I want to make sure all is the best that all could be. You understand? Because the innovation.
We had a similar conversation, I think in a different capacity before. So I do know that you are passionate about the local scene. I know you are passionate about development. You mentioned a particular word and I almost smiled to myself because one of the very next questions that I had lined up had to deal with that.
Telepathy is a real thing.
Yes, my brother.
Telling
And education conquers all, in my opinion. Coming from where we come from, the backgrounds that we come from, we were taught very early on that education was the way out. And I feel like in some ways we abandoned that at a certain age. We abandon that mindset that, okay, education, all right, I'm finished with it. Or we see it as something for a time. But that's not the case. Learning is a continual process. And you in particular, Shane, you have an incredible academic background, I could say. Like,
respect, bro.
You know, we talking bio and biomedical stuff at Stanford. We talking the MBA in sports management. Then we also talking about the certifications, project management. How do you think? Well, not how do you think, but I think that these skills really intersect well for you in terms of your push in towards sport and being an athlete, yes, but now in your push towards sport management. If you could advise your fellow, I don't want to say former athletes, but people who have been involved in sports to pursue education or to pursue certification, what would you say to them how these skills can benefit not just them on a professional level in terms of their own personal growth and development, but benefit the very industry that we're talking about, you know, give as a way to sort of give back. I would really like to see some of the athletes from the past and so on becoming those ones, because you mentioned earlier, these people can also be role models in their capacity. But I'm really interested in having the people that have that experience function in a capacity. How do we get more people to, you know, get some of these experiences, and how do we improve the education in terms of for the young ones and the ones that already exist? How do we, you know, bridge those gaps?
Yeah, bro, that I'm gonna take an earthquake. in the sense that it takes a shift in mindset, right? We were taught that education meant you read a book and you regurgitate what your book say. You have to learn this word by word for word, basically, right? And you repeat it word for word. But education is all about space, repetition, discipline. Education is about you reading, but you're reading because you know once you read it once, okay, you read it twice, you pick up again. You read it 3 times, you're training your brain as an athlete. So education isn't about any sort of inherited curriculum or ways of teaching that we have from colonial days. Is more about using our time wisely to be productive. You know, just finding productive things to do. Talking, you could listen to podcasts, you could read, you could do puzzles, you could do all those kind of things. It's just about repeating and repeating and repeating. And that comes with discipline because, like I say, it would not be easy to keep repeating, right? There's a saying that says, it gets easier every day, but the hard thing is to do it every day. You understand? So that is where I think we need to shift the knowledge to thinking about what areas in the country can we, fix up and stuff, learn a trade, learn a craft, read, and all those different things. But just try and find ways to elevate your mind. Don't feed your mind negative or other things that won't help it grow. Yeah, be very guarded with how you use your mind and these kind of things you expose yourself to. So exposure is the best teacher, right? So our philosophy at All Athletes now is to build that secondary institution, which will be the first private secondary institution. And we want to create that shift. We want to teach these kids now 4 different things. How to be critical thinkers. You have to think critically. How to assess the globe from a Caribbean perspective. How to manage economic apparatuses, so your books and your finance, your money, how to manage that. Financial literacy. And the 4th one is how to have a healthy mind and body, right? So those 4 things is what we would focus on. And that is what I believe education is, right? So, like I said, we have inherited, we have to have grace, but we also can have hope that these things are coming. You understand? Our youths will be better off for them, and we can't be resentful that we didn't have. And a lot of people like say, oh, back in our, you know what I mean? Just be happy that you're seeing the place developing. If a youth have a phone now at 6, well, you don't want to get a phone at 6. But, you know what I mean? But just be happy that this person was able to get to that level for themselves and their family. And know that you too can also get to that level for your family and yourself. So, yeah.
Bro, I want to ask you about your job at CONCACAF, right? That's a very impressive piece of work that you have there at such a young age, bro. Yeah. And it comes with a lot of responsibilities, right? So I just want to know tell me about the day in the life of working at CONCACAF when you're there physically.
Yeah, well, you see, the thing is, well, first off, the journey to get there, I always like to start there because, boy, it wasn't like if it happened because of faith again. And what happened is I was actually studying medicine, and I was on the path, as a youth, if you interview me, I'd say, oh, I want to be an orthopedic surgeon because it's the closest thing to sports medicine, right? And that God closed that medical chapter for me, right? Because I didn't actually get accepted to any medical schools in the US. So upon me doing those examinations, MCAT examination, I was going on LinkedIn. I use LinkedIn up there, and LinkedIn provides that sort of platform where you could just type in. So I was doing project management because my father is a manager, so he does project management professionally. And he kind of guided me along that path. So I was like, all right, let me find a job in sports and management. Press enter. And that was the first listing to come up, CONCACAF, because I was in Miami at the time and they were hiring in Miami. Right? So I was doing my graduate studies in Miami, and boom. So give thanks for that blessing right there. And the interview process, I started that in February. I never get the job until May, right? Because one, they had other people interviewing for the position. So when other positions open, they just say, put you there. So they valued me, but they was long with it. And so fast forward now, and we get to the competitions administrator role. Now we have different departments within the company, right? You have your legal, you have your finance, your broadcasting, and the competitions department was my department. And we focused on the actual execution of events. So the Gold Cup, for example, boys under 15 is happening right now. The different club championships that we have, those are all under our umbrella. And so a day in my life started out as the mailman, basically. No, there's email, of course, but as an administrator, you're focusing on external communications. So I would have sent letters to the different federations and all those different things, so interacting with them. Then they wanted me to focus on the medical side of it because I had a medical background. So in football now, you have the doping control, so you have to answer to WADA, the World Anti-Doping Agency, and FIFA as well is my basically supervisor for compliance. And so my tasks include injury tracking. So anytime a player gets injured in our tournaments, they have to report to me and let me know what the player was injured.
Okay.
The doping control, exemptions. If you want to have medications like your asthma medication, you send a request and that request will be processed through my department. And now, interestingly enough, I am the only person within that soon to be grown medical department. So for example, FIFA has 4 staff in there, UEFA has about 7, and other confederations have their many. So they want me now to build out this department for them.
Okay.
And so my vision, like I say, is to bring everything home. You understand? So of course, my pitch to them was that one day we have an office in St. Vincent and the Grenadines where we could hire talent from the region, right? Because like I asked the day in my life, I would like that to be a day in more life around me. You know, like having people who are from St. Vincent, because in the office up there is only 2 of us who are from the English-speaking Caribbean, right? And it governs CONCACAF is North America, Central America, and Caribbean. And so, you know, there's room there for them to improve and hire.
Yeah, in terms of representation.
Yeah. So, to answer the question, that is the day in life is just sending off the mail and these different things, but there's room to.
A question just from there, right? Because you stated that you asked them, you pitched the idea about a building in St. Vincent basically with CONCACAF's name on it. That would be crazy. That would be something incredible, bro. That would be crazy, right? So my question in relation to that, I ain't asking you if they rejected that, right? But the question I'm asking is what challenges do you face, like doing your job, especially knowing where you come from? You might be, you know, profiled. You might, you know, they might not consider your opinion
naturally, bro,
over others.
Naturally.
What challenges do you face in that job?
Yeah, well, good question again, bro. I would say, firstly, that the HR director tell me, like, you know, she loves the initiative. She like to see that kind of initiative from person. So it's a yes in the future, I believe. And I wouldn't stop working for it until I get it.
That was it, my brother.
You know me, like I say, how the challenges exist, but the confidence I have within myself to be better than people around me, in the sense that, like, just putting in the extra mile, that is why I hold on to whenever I go into any situation. So even if I get a kind of, bro, there are a couple of times, I mean, we'll get to the ambassador, for example, but if I travel on the diplomatic passport, I would walk into a line, right, diplomat line, and they will watch me, right, and they'll be like, what are you doing in this line?
Those are the kind of things. Those are the kind of things I want to
laugh. Like, you know,
youngest anybody's
crazy. But the challenges, I would say, it just comes from representation. You know, the more that there is representation is the more that we can have more conversations about different habits or cultures in our workspace. But I would say that is a family setting. Like, we all are one family in that office, and it creates that bond where they want to see us rise, we want to see everybody rise. And it's a very unique thing to have, because most of them are also from Latin America or the Caribbean, so they all have that sort of similar upbringing. So
very diplomatic answer. I respect that.
Definitely. As we look to the future, there's another initiative that you're involved in. You know, big up to all athletes, but I wanna shine the spotlight just for a bit on something, and I'll bring it home with sports. You're a coordinator in the Bronx Initiative internship program, correct? And I've done some work with y'all from time to time. How important would you say is mentorship to gaining that sort of real world experience in terms of us shaping the next generation of sports professionals? And I say sports professionals very intentionally in this case, because I'm not just talking athletes. Realistically, if we want to build out a thriving sporting industry here on home soil, we're going to need, yes, we know we have the talented athletes, but we're going to need people like you, my boy.
Yeah,
We're going to need people in sports management. We're going to need
Telling
people
you.
in medicine. We're going to need people in administration, in logistics, in governance, on the legal side, on the marketing and broadcasting and media side. So,
Man, we have it.
you know,
We have them.
how can we? I'm already, you know, thinking outside the box in terms of perhaps a little mentorship program with CONCACAF, something of that works in the works, you know, getting that exposure there. I think we need to have the youths and them see that it is possible. It exists right now in front of your face. It's just tapping into the right channels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. And for us, we had a shout out Browns Initiative. And,
Yeah, big up Kibby one
Kibby.
time. Kyle, big up yourself. Trust me, killing it.
Kibby and I, we same journey forward from Windsor straight up, like that's brother. And yeah,
Yeah, Kibby.
and you know, all the way in the circle as well is one of what Browns Initiative was, because he was also in, you know, doing his exposure journey in Jamaica, and he got exposure to an internship program that he was working with their firm, and he just wanted as well to bring back that sort of mentorship and internship, real world experience for you know, when you don't really have much going on in the country for us to be productive during the summer, for example. It's just to get these kids to come and learn. So, for example, this year is about construction management, and KB invested in some Lego blocks and some plans to build out different buildings and track it in his app that he has for construction management now. So, you see, it's the thinking outside the box that matters, and also having these ideas like this, like all that we have, and just keeping them pushing. You have to stay consistent, because there's plenty things people that start off hot on and jump up and say, yeah, we're doing this and that.
Facts.
But when the going gets rough now and the pressure build up, you understand, you have to really try and lock in. And we are human beings, you know, like, I would never shy away from the fact that if I get nervous, boy, from these, then I bring up a little belly and them thing they do, you understand? But the fact of the matter is that you find it sense to lock in, and you know that as I am able to provide this pathway and this trailblazing light forward, that everything else is secure. You know, the confidence you have for yourself, the self-love you have for yourself, and them kind of stuff is what we want to get the next generation to build up for themselves too. So, like I say, all the different industries, if we could have programs such as these where there is a bridge in the gap between professional and just learning the craft, then we could all push together, and the next generation would have those platforms, those foundations already built up. So, yeah, big shout out there for sure.
Love, man. Heart of love, trust me.
Mhm.
And doing it from that place is where you see the truly positive results. When you have a good idea at the start and you have that staying power to see it through, then is when you actually start to see the results coming from it. Man, we've been having a great talk, and we don't want to get too personal with you, but we still want to get,
No reasoning,
you know, we want to reason on a
reasoning,
deeper
bro.
level, on a deeper level still. Shall we all get down into that segment? You could
Sure,
start now.
sure, bro. I have a question for you, seeing as we global sports Caribbean perspective, so we're just trying to keep it fun. As you see, we have Real Madrid and Barcelona here.
Fully.
I want to ask you, what team do you support?
Madrid, Hala Madrid, y nada más, siempre nada más.
I could have told you that in a shower. The man say he had a CR7 poster in the house growing up, you know?
Man, on my roof in my bedroom is our Madrid flag, you know? Like the last thing I see for go sleep is a Madrid flag. And to be honest, and just to pivot with that too, because Madrid isn't just a club where you just, you know, like people just want to say, yeah, you're watching ball and you're even related to them ball. But to me, it's a structure, it's a business.
Yeah.
It's Madrid vision was to pull together global perspective, global action, global talent, bring it and use it to elevate the surroundings, Madrid, the people, you understand? So the
Facts.
people were always the biggest shareholders in Madrid, you know, and it takes management to get there, you know. So yeah, Madrid fully, bro.
And as a result of that, what are your thoughts? I don't know how deeply you follow the transfer news and the current news and that kind of thing, but what's your expectations? Of course, you'd hope that Madrid would have a successful season, but what are your honest opinion, especially considering the fact that they had a postseason last year,
Man, come on,
where Barca dominated in Spain and
actually,
they got knocked out from Arsenal in Europe. So I just want to know what are your thoughts on the prospects for the season.
Bro, I do always. Once the season starts, it's a new season, we must win. I don't have no doubt next year we win another Champions League. We win treble next year, to be honest. Sway. No, sway. Like,
and
man,
give your hot take, bro.
sway, because here what happened, right? Madrid, you have to understand, Madrid isn't just, Madrid is a belief. You understand? Madrid, power come from belief. And even the last year, you know, you could see injuries hold you back, right? But at the end of the day, I still believe that we need a centre back. We do need a centre back, but Housen is a strong addition.
For sure,
100%.
Sure.
Housen is a baller, and I just think that we have the pieces. Ancelotti was a manager, like Mr. could just send man to do this and that.
Correct.
Xabi is a man who did it on the field, showing them man what they doing, leading by example now.
Right.
That formula they cause. Yeah, Madrid will do damage this year. That's the hot take right now. Well, not a hot take. That is a expectation. You understand?
I try not to show my bias. I'm trying not to show my bias, you know. But
yeah.
nah. If I could give you your flowers, you know, as you said, as a youth man, you had CR7 poster in your room. It looked like that is the formula to being a successful athlete, because another youth, just a little bit older than you, had a CR7 poster in your room too, and he's your number 10 now.
10.
He's your number 10 now. You know, so maybe like how we had Project Mbappe and Project Lamine, we might have to start a Project Shane.
Man, well,
Yeah, man.
oh, well, see, they're gonna make me give up all the chess pieces. But here, I just play ball and I just make sure you don't see my hand. So when I beat you with my hand now, internationally now, they see the vision. But the vision is we feed Madrid Academy. The reason why I'm doing the Masters in Business with Madrid Academy, with Escuela Universitaria Real Madrid, the reason I'm doing the program with them is to show them as well that we have it within us to build their own structure as well, help them out, right? And we just feed, right? And that is how, that's project, whoever. You understand? All of we have a project, bro.
So you say we might see a Vincent in the born about
it's a
10, 15 years.
It's a must. A scout
10,
will
15
be
years
here.
time.
A scout will be here within the next decade. Will be here within the next decade. There's no
Global.
I can't say I would ever say the words but if I Vincent day in the White House.
You go swap.
No, I ain't saying I go swap him. I don't think I'd ever
But
be able to.
you
But
You might consider.
I would find it.
Watch a
I'd
game,
find
man.
it hard
Yeah, you have to watch.
to be as strong of a hater as I am.
Yeah, if
Correct.
you're a Barca man, actually, right?
Yeah,
But if
I
the club
support
wasn't
the
in
Catalans.
debt, and I believe the debt is reasoned by investing. So hopefully the debt all they could climb out of. No dish to all.
No, the
but-
that is from moving away from philosophy, but that's not the show, right?
But it is a family-owned club,
Mhm.
right? So there is a structure difference in criteria and success in that essence. So I respect everybody, bro. You understand? So no, you know that we could have academy in Bath if you want.
All right.
But
Let me get some perspective from you. What your favorite all-time sports memory? Any sport, anyway, anytime. Just, we know sports in general, no matter the sport. Sports can, give you some iconic moments, some inspirational moments, some teary-eyed moments. So our your greatest personal all-time greatest sports moment, best sporting memory? Any sport, anyway, anytime.
boy, I might have to give you like a couple of them, of course.
That's fine. You can
Yeah,
talk
I
to
might have to give a couple of them because there are different ways to look at it as well. Because as a youth, especially grammar school days, the biggest moments for me was Champions League finals, right? Bale, Bike, Christy bike. You understand? You understand? Bro, I have Snapchat memories where just come up on my phone every year of that kind of celebration then because you understand? Them comebacks there, they remember all the Real Madrid remontadas live within, never say die. So those memories are, I would say, because you go from the low to the high.
To the yeah.
So that
The emotional roller coaster.
first thing that come to mind is that. Personally, on my own journey, boy, I would say we could do as an athlete, I would say just the experience in the Olympic Village was a very humbling experience because you just relive and you're seeing all these different names on the globe. I see people in the news, I say, wait, boy, I know from this and that kind of thing, right? So the network that was established there can't go without saying. And then now in the field of where I am, I would say we just had a trip to Mustique where we took some under 14 athletes from St. Vincent, tennis players, right? And we took them down there to just enjoy the day, get some exposure, training with a number 4 Tim Henman professional player, right? Tennis player, right? So they hit around with him now. And to see that we were able to bridge that gap and provide that opportunity it will live in the memory for forever because that is just the start of what we want to put forward here with all of it, right? And then the final one I would give is with CONCACAF. I traveled to the futsal, W Futsal Championship, and that was in Guatemala. I was in May, right? And then man have a dome, right? And the dome is a historic kind of monument that they have there, but when you're playing futsal in there, you have the stadium around you, right? And you're playing in the middle there, bro. When inside they get loud, cannot hear anything, like pitch high, like never experienced anything like that because, it's just so loud and it's the structure. So I would say those are what makes me want to keep providing that same
those types of moments. Nice.
You swam, football, and what was track?
Yeah.
Is swimming your favorite sport out of the three?
Nah. Boy, so swimming is a maintenance sport because it is easy on the joints, you don't get injured easy. But football is by far the number one. My first word was ball. Man, focus on no one. I don't swim. And the last time I swam was last year. To be honest, it's just ball right through now.
Okay.
Because I envision one day that we could send a team to a futsal championships, and I don't mind being on a futsal
team.
You understand? But football naturally, bro. Football is the first love because culture wise and these things. Ball was the first word as well. So swimming, like I said, was just the way to see the world.
Okay.
Because football, don't provide that level of opportunity that much.
I mean, you're swimming for yourself is not
right. Individual sport, exactly.
Not team sport.
Exactly. So that is the shot there. But I love them. I love each and I just respect the craft of being a sportsman, being an athlete. All of us here, just being able to push yourself to a certain limit, better yourself every day. You don't have to be perfect every day, but you find ways to get better. You learn from your mistakes, and if you could adapt that, then bodo.
Nice.
Okay, bro. I wanna ask you, what do you hope? And look in the camera when you answer this, right? I wanna ask you, what do you hope our listeners, because we hope to have a broad audience, right? I want you to tell the camera, like, your main conclusion and takeaway from your time on the show here today, and what you just hope to achieve.
I think the future is bright. By all means, I think that we have created or continue to create a means. No matter if it's will, no matter if it's force, we continue to push through the resilience that we possess. This podcast is a representation of resilience like you was explaining, you know, it was off the ground, and you know, to now have the resources and the time to be able to dedicate. That is what this is, a resourceful initiative, and I just want to see more resourceful initiatives out there, because the more that we can do together, the more that we can incorporate more voices, because the most important thing is to tell stories, is documentation, because we don't have much documentation of our ancestors or our fathers' stories, or you know, ancestor stories, war. But now we have the opportunities and the blessings to be able to provide that, right? So for me, it's a matter of self-belief. Let's just keep pushing the aspect of believing in yourself, trying to be the best version of yourself as much as possible. And even though failure comes around, success is the inevitable outcome. Once you get back up, you dust yourself off and you push forward. But I wanted to plug, because we talked about the memories. We are currently in the, and this is again in the transparency as much as possible. I will talk everything possible, because I think that the more we can do that is the more that we can grow. We want to build the first ever indoor multi-purpose facility, right? We had a site visit already, and the architect is drafting up the plans now, and we have eyes and ears already on board. And now this facility would have a AstroTurf and a beach pit. So we have beach football, beach volleyball, all those different things. And you have your AstroTurf, you have your night sweats, you could have events at night, you power everything by solar, use containers. That is the vision, because we believe that every maker make a muckle, right? And if we can all, you know, you pull up to a sweat, you pay $10, you pull up to an event, you pay something, but you know that going back into development of the youths, right? You know that that is being funneled back. So all I want us to do as a people, we have all the pieces already, you know. We just have to close the loop. We have to have the conversations. We can't shy away from different uncomfortable situations, because we feel like if boy better off by not doing that. Just put yourself out there, be comfortable being uncomfortable, right? Find that passion, find that purpose, because once you find your purpose, everything else will match out itself naturally.
That is it, bro. I just see now we're closing up.
Yeah.
I just wanna tell you on camera, bro. Right? Basically giving you flowers
Super
right
proud,
here
bro.
and right now, bro.
Respect.
Right?
Respect, bro.
We haven't had, you know, much conversations like these, you know. It would always be formal in the sweat,
Naturally,
whatever.
bro.
But I'm telling you to your face right now, bro. Very proud of you, bro.
Respect,
Sure.
bro.
Was
Enough respect.
yeah,
bro.
you deserve all the praise and accolades that you get and everything coming to you. I respect all the initiatives, especially the last one you just mentioned there about
Yeah, that one would
the vision that
give
you heard it here first.
first and
You
foremost.
Right? So I respect all the initiatives that you have with KB, with your all athletes initiatives. This you know what I'm saying? So I respect everything that you're doing, bro. Just keep on the straight and narrow, and you know we here supporting you, and we hire back that.
Yeah, bro.
Come on,
Definitely. I would say for GSCP we've set the bar very high
boy.
for our invited guests.
For sure.
We started with a stellar with a really stellar interview and a stellar young man. Shane,
Man, first
you
and
are-
foremost, I have to give back the flowers. You understand? I can't, never, none of that. You understand? But big up yourself. You understand? I really respect that one, the opportunity, because like I said, they don't really have much about me. And I appreciate you allowing me to share the journey. And it's only a kudos and a big ups to the interview style, the
Yeah,
preparation, you
Of
understand?
course,
The
of course.
preparation and you are put into this. Don't go unnoticed. So like, comment, subscribe, wherever we get going on when this drop, because just make sure you tune in from now on. This is the starting of something
right,
great.
guys.
You
The
understand?
thing.
Global.
Globalize the things. Fully.
Man, Shane, I just want to thank you for coming on the podcast with us, coming on the show, you know, talking to us about global sports from your own Caribbean perspective, from your own Caribbean experience as a Caribbean man. You are insanely talented. I think you're extremely intelligent as well.
Respect.
But overall, just from talking to you in this capacity, I could tell that you are a young man who is grounded, you're firm in your beliefs, and I pray that you continue to get that support and that recognition, because I know with that support and recognition, you're going to continue to do great things. So man, thank you for coming on the show.
Respect.
Selfless mission.
Big up
Respect,
yourself.
bro. Selfless
Keep
is
on
mission.
turning your passion into purpose.
Fully.
Keep on, pushing forward into positivity. man.
Fully.
One GSCP seven.
Yeah, we get episode 2 coming soon, and cause
And this has been another episode of Global Sports from a Caribbean perspective. Remember to like, share, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and let's get this thing global. One GSCP.
Global.